Hello and welcome to Karen's Colours. I'm Dr. Karen and these are my colour conversations. In this session, we'll be looking once again at some of those issues about how people misunderstand colour analysis. Colour is one of those things where we find that people all recognise what colours are. They don't always agree what each individual colour might be, but certainly there is a misconception that colour analysis is all about what you like rather than what other things it can tell you. And this is a series of sessions on what else colour allows us to know. Before we begin though, I'd like to welcome back those of you who have been following this series. It's certainly been extremely gratifying to know that you are interested in what I have to offer and are following these particular sessions. If you're new here, then perhaps you might be more interested in starting at the beginning of this series, because it does explain things a little more clearly than simply jumping in on session number 4. Nevertheless, you're all very, very welcome. So let's get started, shall we? In this session number 4, we'll be looking at specifically the colours orange and purple. And both of them have to do with the idea of colour being a disruptor of things. Now, the story so far has been that basic colour terms emerge in a very specific sequence. And until the colour brown, that sequence is pretty well set in stone. However, after brown, we get an explosion of 4 basic colour terms in any order, and they can arise spontaneously and simultaneously. In session 1, we examined the primitive colours, the ones that occur in all languages that have a colour term. And basically, we have black and white and red. In session 2, we examined the next 2 colour terms to arise in language, and this was the green and yellow dichotomy, all about experience. And in session 3, we considered the industriousness of 2 colours that emerge one after the other, blue first and then brown. Both of those are involved in work. Now, the final 4 colours have been established as the basic colour terms orange, grey, purple and pink. Now, there are some fairly significant links between some of the colours in this last final set of 4. Purple and orange have a very similar sort of outlook in terms of what they represent, whereas grey and pink are really quite different. They are the outliers, and we'll be looking at those in the next session. For this session, we will be regarding only purple and orange. Neither of these colours is particularly popular in terms of a person's favourite colour, nor is it the most favoured colour for anyone in adult life for such things as furnishings or even clothing colours. Purple links to the New Age and occult healing practices and has done so for a very long time. In that respect, it is also closely associated with the colour black. Orange, on the other hand, links to community safety and rescue services, and it is associated with red and yellow as the primary precursors of that particular colour. When we explore purple, we see that firstly, it is a composite of red and blue. That is, it has parental energies. And because of that, the outcome of red and blue is always a child. So purple, as the distinguished colour between red and blue, becomes associated with child energies. And as such, it's associated with play, with enjoyment, and with creativity as well as destructive tendencies. Orange, on the other hand, is a composite of red and yellow. That is, it is a composite of both knowledge and risk-taking. It supports carefully considered responses to threats and is associated with challenges, with warnings, with survival, but also with sociability. So, examining firstly purple as a personality concept. It encourages creativity and play. It controls and heals emotions, and it's linked to power and spirituality. It also represents extravagance, dominance, creativity, and moodiness. There is a tendency for people who are purple personalities to link themselves to altruistic endeavors, and also they have a veneer of wisdom. It derives from the inward and imaginative search for solutions to everyday problems. So symbolically, purple is associated with spirituality, with wisdom, with creativity and sensitivity. Its effects on humans is that it motivates people, it inspires, it can be very uplifting, and it also balances out things. In other words, it has healing properties. In terms of positive associations, it's encouraging, it's intuitive, creative, and also considerate. But it has a negative side, as do all colours, and that is it can be very fragile, raw, timid, and at times rather arrogant. Orange, on the other hand, as a personality concept, is all about encouraging exploration and risk. It excites and tenses emotions. It's linked to confidence, warmth, and also flamboyance, and it represents attentiveness, pride, risky outcomes, and survival abilities. It tends to be impatient, and people who are classified as orange personalities are often frustrated quite easily. Orange personalities derive from threats to safety or impeded progress. Thus, we can see that it symbolizes emotion and youthfulness, some optimism, which is associated with the yellow component, and enthusiasm, which is associated with the red component. Its effects on humans are that it encourages, it uplifts, it stimulates, and it also helps with communication, in that it seeks clarity and also is able to verbalize ideas. In terms of positive connotations, it's all about spontaneity, creativity, just like purple was, warmth and positivity. But like all colours, its negative connotations also exist. And here we have exhibitionism, superficiality, impatience, and also a tendency towards domination, which is another aspect that it has in common with purple. So how do we differentiate between purple and orange? Well, when we think of these two colours, we find that purple and orange respond to sudden changes. For purple, those changes are mostly unexpected. For orange, they are to be expected or can certainly be anticipated. The responses that we get from these is that a purple personality will have a standstill response. They'll stop doing whatever they're doing and go inwards looking for answers, whereas the orange personality has an instantaneous action response. The purple personality seeks for mental solutions, whereas the orange personality is more likely to engage with physical solutions. As a result of those search for solutions, both purple and orange will take deliberate action. But for purple, that action requires a belief in the efficacy of the results, whether that belief be from the person who is purple personality or from the people that that person is looking after or responding to. On the other hand, the orange deliberate action requires that a correct action is taken for the results to be achieved. So what happens when we put those two colours together into the same personality? Well, for the purple-orange personality, we see this person perceives crisis and catastrophic change. and needs lots of courage and thinking before they act. The ability to imagine alternative solutions and to act on those is extremely strong, and resolution is always achieved by being confident of their healing abilities. The reverse, that is, the orange-purple personality, perceives crisis and catastrophic change. They have a need for power and pausing before acting, but they have also the ability to respond via some form of immediate solution to the problem. In other words, they act first. And resolution is achieved by being both creative and reactive, with reactive being the primary goal within the actions that they undertake. So, as usual, I'll give you a challenge. Imagine yourself in a situation of drama or conflict. You have 4 different options you can take. You can go the purple route, you can go the orange route, you can go the purple-orange or the orange-purple route. Firstly, who do you think offers better solutions to any given conflict? Who is more likely to be a trusted leader if there is a conflict that needs resolution? And in a state of crisis or drama, what role would you be more likely to undertake? Test yourself throughout the next couple of weeks until we meet again. Wear some orange or purple alternately around your face and just take observations of how people respond to you. If you don't like those colors, this may be a real test of your ingenuity in being able to handle whatever it is that comes your way during that time. Let's now look at what we've learnt from this session. Purple and orange are responses to drama and crisis. We have these throughout our lives. We can't avoid them. But if we need to respond to them, those are the 2 colors that are most likely going to lead us towards a satisfactory conclusion. Both of them incorporate red. That is, both purple and orange allow us, through the use of red, to act in some way. Purple acts through cautious investigation. It establishes the causation of a particular crisis or drama before choosing a response. Orange, on the other hand, acts through deliberate confrontation. It establishes the immediate need that needs to be addressed and counters the problem head-on. Both of these are effective in finding solutions. Purple takes its time and is innovative in how it approaches a conflict, whereas orange responds decisively and with predetermination. So, in effect, both purple and orange are ways of dealing with conflict and crises that assail us in everyday life, as well as those unexpected major dramas that can actually stop us in our tracks. This is probably why these colours are not as well liked as many of the others within our basic colour terms. Nevertheless, they're both extremely important for our ability to adjust to issues that confront us. What is important to remember, though, is that even though we may not necessarily like those colours, they are nonetheless colours that are important for us to consider when we are dealing with a particular issue that needs a resolution that has to be done fairly quickly. This has been a rather short session because I didn't want to talk too long about any of these. We'll be looking at pink and grey next time round, and then after that, we'll be looking at some of the other issues that arise when we begin to do colour analyses on individuals. Remembering, of course, that the colours that you like or the colours that you dislike are not necessarily aligned with your personality type. And of course, very few of us have just a single personality colour. Most of us are multiples, and that's something we'll be looking at in future sessions. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, well, there's a like button down the bottom there that you might like to have a little click at. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time, and may the colours of your life bring you all of the joy and happiness that is your due for your own higher good. Catch you next time. Bye.